McGarry of the Press of Atlantic City. Talk a little high school sports. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Sully, how are you this morning?
What's up, man? You up at Homedale Park?
No, I'm actually headed up to Bergen Catholic.
Oh,
today.
are you? Okay.
Watch St. Augustine play Bergen Catholic, but I will be Alyssa Aldridge of Bayland Regional, the defending South Jersey, defending state Group 3 champion, runs in the cross country today. She runs at 3 o'clock, so I'll be checking in with her and her coaches to see how she did, but headed up to see what St. Augustine can do against a North Jersey parochial power today when they go up there to face Bergen Catholic at 1 o'clock.
Anybody else in terms of South Jersey runners have a shot at a state title there in the cross country?
Well, I think you look at, obviously in Group 2, you've got Brianna Guest of Haddonfield, who's, really had a tremendous career at Haddonfield, and she's obviously a contender in Group 2. And on the, on the girls' side, that's her and Alyssa Aldridge are two of the best runners in the state. Guest last year, the Meet of Champions was second or third. I think she won the Meet of Champions as a freshman, so she's obviously a runner to watch. And, the entire mainland team comes off the South Jersey Group 3 championship that they won last week at Delsea Regional. You've got Alexa Weber of Ocean City, obviously contender to move on to the Meet of Champions. She's in Group 3 also and has had a magnificent season. So, there are a couple of South Jersey runners in addition to Aldridge with an opportunity to, medal up there at Homedale today and advance to the Meet of Champions next weekend.
Yeah, pretty nice conditions, too. It's probably going to be about 55 degrees for most of the afternoon, sunny. I don't know about the wind, but should be a nice day for getting some pretty good times.
Yeah, perfect day to run, and you don't know about the wind, and if anybody's ever been to Homedale, it's really a magnificent sight. It's actually one of my favorite high school sporting events. The state group cross country championships as well as the Meet of Champions. Homedale is kind of to cross country what Fenway Park is or Wrigley Field is to Major League Baseball. It's a historic site, a great course, hills, and a really great setting. A historic setting. People have been running there since the 70s, so you can really measure yourself against history there. So that's what it's really a great event and a great day up at Homedale.
Yeah, this time of year, one of the bad things about this time of year is there's probably about 3 or 4 or 5 events every day you'd want to get to.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this past Thursday was unbelievable. You had the field hockey, state field hockey semifinals on Thursday. You had, Holy Spirit girls soccer and Wildwood Catholic boys soccer. You had Mainland boys soccer. I mean, it is, a time of year. I've sometimes told the people at the NJSA, hey, spread some of this stuff out. Because,
for real.
Teams,
they're killing us.
You have teams, not only that, but you have teams win championships, and you'd like to give each team, kind of its due and send a photographer to the game and give it a big splash. But, when you have 8 championship events on the same day, it's difficult to do, manpower-wise and space-wise and everything else.
Mike, when is the sports staff of the Press of Atlantic City going to do the mannequin challenge? I got to see Russo and Melhorn doing this.
Well, we'll have to see. I was just watching a rebroadcast of the Sixers game last night. So they did it around Iverson last night at the game. So I don't know. We're scary enough. I don't think we need to freeze in place.
One of the funniest things I saw on Twitter was a bunch of 4-year-olds trying to do it.
Well, there you go. If you get 4-year-olds to stand still, you got something going on right now.
No, they stood still for about 3 seconds.
Exactly. Well, that's about 2 more seconds than the press sports staff could stand still. So
I'll tell you what, it is a really fun thing that's kind of been sweeping the social media. It's cool to see all these high school teams and college teams trying to get in on it.
Yeah, I think I saw the Egg Harbor Township, one of the Egg Harbor Township teams do it the other day, and that stuff is all good and kind of you talk about big games time of the year. That stuff can sort of release some of the pressure and ease some of the tension that comes with these big games at this time of year.
Yeah, definitely. Talking Mike McGarry, the Press of Atlantic City. Mike, let's talk a little high school football. First round of state playoffs this weekend. What did you take away from last night? Some really crazy, exciting games coming down to the wire. You talk about a game like Vineland a game like Shawnee beating Clearview in overtime by 1. I mean, this is Atlantic City going up and putting a huge scare in the Toms River North. This is what you want to see in playoff football.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, two things I take away last night. First of all, I was out at Vineland. Hal comes down to Vineland. It was the 4-5 game, so you figured it'd be a very close football game, but I think most people gave Vineland the edge going into the game. And Hal just gets a great game from quarterback Eddie Morales. Really one of the more impressive quarterbacks I've seen this season. The kid a junior threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for a touchdown. He's got a great wide receiver in Nassim Brantley. That kid had 10 catches for more than 100 yards. And, Morales drove Hal down the field in the final 7 minutes, and Pat Handy of Hal ends up kicking an 18-yard field goal with about 21 seconds left to give Hal the 2-point win. And at any time when that happens, you sort of get the contrast and emotion there. You see the joy on the Hal players' faces. It's been 7 years since they've been in the playoffs, and you sort of kind of the anguish on the Vineland faces. As I kind of wrote today in the Press of Atlantic City and pressofac.com, Vineland was in the middle of an outstanding year. They had waited 13 years for a playoff game. They never won a playoff game in school history, and they have a lead in the second half. They're up, 27-19. It looks like they're going to go up 2 scores. They fumble the football at the Hal 13-yard line. That sort of opens the door for Hal, and Vineland gets its heart broken in the final 30 seconds. So, I mean, just that contrast this time of year between, the joy of Hal after, the winning drive and the despair on the face of the Violent kids after, they kind of get their heart broken. That kind of symbolizes or epitomizes what goes on this time of year.
Mike, Cole and I were talking about this in the previous segment, how obviously a brutal loss in terms of emotionally for Vineland last night. But do you think this is kind of a stepping stone for that program? I mean, Cole mentioned that, hey, when you start winning and getting to the playoffs, maybe you start retaining some of these youth players instead of going to a parochial school and kind of build just some momentum in the community around this football team. And every town wants their high school football team to be championship caliber, and you're starting to see Vineland build something really nice. I think as time goes by, they'll see this as not necessarily a good loss, but a loss that is a stepping stone to something better.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case. I mean, 13 years ago, Vineland, it's eerie. They almost had the same exact. They're headed down the same path that they were 13 years ago. They were 7-0. 13 years ago, they lost a big, league game at Mainland. Then they lost to Cherokee in the playoffs, and then they lost to Millville to finish 7-3. Now they start this season 7-0. And they lose at St. Augustine. They lose a heartbreaking playoff game, and now they've got to go play a talented Millville team on Thanksgiving. So, and that 13 years ago, they weren't able to build on that success. That was a senior-dominated team. I think this team, Vineland, is different. I think Coach Dan Russo has a better foundation, a more solid foundation. And also you see some juniors out there. You see Isaiah Pacheco at quarterback, who ran for 255 yards last night and just played a magnificent game as a junior. Liam Anderson at linebacker and tight end. I think he's one of the best players in South Jersey. He's a junior. Anthony Reyes on the defensive lineman is a sophomore. So you see some younger players, some younger talent there. So I think you're exactly right. I think this is a season that Vineland will build on, and I don't think it's going to be 7-3 and 13 years till they're in the playoffs again this season. I think they're going to be, I think they're going to be able to build on this season and and become a quality program.
Mike, real quick before we let you go, obviously we got to get to Kevin Minnick. He gets a little upset if we cut into his time. But talk about today's game, Cedar Creek, Middle Township. Do you think Cedar Creek has it in them to make another run back to that state final game?
Well, I think they do, only because it appears that Bo Melton is healthy. I mean, after he got banged up in the preseason and kind of got off to a slow start this season, but he has scored at least 2 touchdowns in, I think, the last 3 games. And, we all remember how magnificent Bo was during last year's playoff run. So I think with a healthy Bo Melton, a healthy Isaiah Watson, who has missed time this year and is now back, you add that in with, Jesse Mills and Nazir Chapman, the players that they've had all season long, I think, Cedar Creek definitely has the makings to be able to make another run. That's an interesting game. Old Cape Atlantic League rivals, Cedar Creek and Middle meet. Middle quarterback Matt Harris is out with a broken collarbone, but Sean Scott has kind of emerged at running back as one of the top running backs in South Jersey. So, obviously Cedar Creek, the 2 seed, Middle the 7, but I definitely think that Cedar Creek has what it takes to make a run in the tournament again because Bo Melton appears to be a healthy player again.
I'll tell you what, if they end up making it to the finals against West Deptford, that's going to be a whale of a game.
Well, it's a rematch, and right now you look at that's the way it's kind of seeded out. West Deptford 1, Cedar Creek 2, and it obviously starts today with a great game. But as we saw last night, you saw an 8-seed Atlantic City give Towns River North a 1-seed all they can handle. You got Howe, a 5-seed beating the 4 Island. Shawnee and Clearview in a 6-3 game go to overtime. So this time of year, you never really know what's going to happen until you actually go out there and see the two teams on the field.
Yeah, nothing's given to you, man. You got to go out and earn it this time of year.
Yeah, and it's football, too. Even though the West Jersey Football League, you have a better idea of crossovers and stuff like that, how teams are going to match up a little bit better. You don't know because there's not a lot of common opponents. Teams in most cases, haven't played each other in the regular season, so you really don't know, strength of schedule or how teams are going to match up against each other till you get out there and you see that first quarter. Last night at Howell, you looked at Eddie Morales play quarterback for Howell against Vineland, and you said, hey, this kid's pretty good, and he's going to be a problem for Vineland. Going in, maybe you didn't think that, but, you watched the first drive, and you knew it was going to be a game the rest of the night.
Good stuff, as always, Mike. Appreciate you chiming in, and enjoy the rest of the weekend, bud.
All right, Sully, you too. We'll see you next weekend. Thanks.
All right, thanks, man. That was Mike McGarry, Press of Atlantic City.